online as well. All right, let's get to the callers right now. Again, 844-686-5863, 844-6-VOLUME is the toll-free number. Try to get to the people who've been waiting the longest. So let's start with Greg, who is in Pennsylvania. Greg, thanks for your patience. You're on the air today. Go ahead.
Hey, Eddie, love the show.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, I know he just had a birthday, Tony Iommi, any solo news going on with possibly Tony Martin? I'm a huge fan of the master riff, and I still listen to like Headless Cross once a week, I know, but I love it. I wanted to know if you heard anything.
Well, there's a lot of people that love some of that Tony Martin material. Greg, what I heard and what's happening is that Tony Iommi is working on a remix and a reissue of the last Sabbath album with Tony Martin, the album Forbidden. Did you know about that?
No, I have it, but I did not hear about that.
It's an album that is a bit of an anomaly in the Sabbath catalog. It was produced by Ernie C. from the band Body Count, and Ice-T has a rap on it. He raps on the record. It's not considered to be Sabbath's best moment because they just feel like it just wasn't very Sabbath. But I guess Tony Iommi's feeling about it is that it's a record that kind of got mixed up a little bit in its direction and its sound, and that he felt the material on it is pretty good. So they're going to try to resurrect that album, and they are working on a reissue and a remix of it as we speak. That's what he's doing right now. So Tony Martin was on that record, is involved in it, and that is something that's coming, although it's a bit down the line.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'll check it out. I still I know that song with Ice Cube. It's okay. I don't mind it, but like Shaking the Chains and Guilty as Hell on that disc, it's still Iommi and it's still a classic to say, you know.
Well, they're going to try to beef it up a little bit, bring it up to speed. Thank you, Greg, for the call. And that's the project that he's working on now. So when Sabbath with the original band ended, Tony said that he'd like to go into the archives and do some stuff, potentially with Tony Martin again, who, for those that don't know, Tony Martin was the guy who came in after the Dio era and did a number of records with Sabbath. Some, the hardcore Sabbath fans, some they really like. But Forbidden was a record that is kind of the outcast of Sabbath records. It's a Sabbath record in name only, a lot of people feel, even though Iommi is on it. And it's a record that just direction-wise, sonically, they just was not what people expected or wanted from Sabbath. So Tony's going to try to resurrect that record. I don't know if he's going to do anything new. The man has a library of riffs, so he could do whatever he wanted to musically. If he wanted to work with Tony Martin again or Glenn Hughes again or even Ian Gillan again. Remember, he did do a record with Ian Gillan. They do a project together for Armenian schools, a charity thing. So Tony Iommi could potentially do anything. There's a couple great Tony Iommi solo records, one called Fused with Glenn Hughes on it as well. That's really, really cool. So there's a lot of stuff that Tony has done outside of the original Sabbath lineup. It's just a matter of how much energy and time he wants to commit to it with, his health concerns and all that sort of stuff. And I reached out to Tony through his manager as recently as a few weeks ago, when news about this Forbidden release reissue was being done. And I said, hey, I haven't talked to Tony in a long time. I certainly know him. Can we get him on the air? Just do a little interview, just a little catch up, say hi. And his manager's like, yeah, but we don't want to do it until there's something to talk about. I mean, it's that same old thing. I hate when that happens. All respect to the managers and publicists. And I get they're trying to protect their artists in some way, but I mean, when you're dealing with guys with 30, 40, 50 years history, some of the best conversations are when they aren't pushing something. They aren't trying to sell something. But most of them always want to do something when there's something to talk about. But he just said, well, when the thing gets closer to release, maybe we'll do something. There's not a lot to talk about right now. Oh, there's 50 years with the guy who created metal, in my opinion. But, okay, I get it. I'll wait my turn and wait until the timing's right. So yes, there is. That's what's happening at the moment. Sean in Los Angeles. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Eddie. Since you were talking about movies earlier, I wanted to ask you if you remember a movie from 1986. It was called Trick or Treat. Now, it actually, involved metal and everything, so it's not a great name for a movie, but it was sort of marked.
Well,
for the weekend as we go back in time here. Now, according to reports from the UK, Ozzy Osbourne has received treatment in intensive care out of fears he could develop pneumonia. Osbourne had been hospitalized while suffering from both the flu and bronchitis. These illnesses had caused him to postpone the entire European leg of his ongoing No More Tours 2 tour.
Yeah, the reason why he was hospitalized is apparently they were concerned about him getting pneumonia off of the flu, but every indicator now is that he's on a good path to recovery and is turned the corner, and that's great news, of course, for Ozzy and his health. Look, when you're around 70 years old and you get the flu, it's a big deal. People can die from that. The flu takes down people, and taking down meaning potentially can kill very, very young, like little babies, and older people, 70, 65 plus, especially if you have some sort of underlying medical condition. So good to see Ozzy got all because speaking as someone who got the flu this year, it was no joke. So it's good to see that Ozzy is on his way to recovery, and wishing him nothing but the best.
Yeah, Sharon had said last week via Twitter, quote, his doctors feel this is the best way to get him on a quicker road to recovery. So rest easy, Prince of Darkness. Additionally, Neil Schon of Journey is recovering after having his gallbladder removed during an ER visit Friday night. Schon said via Twitter he's feeling better than ever now and went on to thank both his doctor and wife, Michaelia.
Yes, I saw that. I've been in touch with Neil because he's doing this Journey Through Time band.
Yes.
Which is Greg Raleigh and Dean Castronovo, where he's playing deep stuff from the Journey catalog and going out there and playing. And I was in touch with Neil about coming on, and maybe we'll even do that this week. I'll reach back out to him. I don't know how he's feeling. I'm sure he needs a week to recover. But wishing him nothing but a speedy recovery and the best as well. And we'll be hearing from him soon on this show to talk about Journey Through Time. As a matter of fact, on Cruise to the Edge, I was I was hanging out with a photographer by the name of Mike Savoy. I don't know how you say his last name properly. Savoya, I believe. And he's a photographer that shoots all the cruises, but he also in recent years became Journey's photographer. And he's become quite close with Neil, and he was showing me some amazing photos he took from the Journey Leopard Stadium dates. And he went up in the lighting trusses up above the stadium and took these amazing photos. And he was telling me that, Neil's quite excited about what he's got going for this latest sort of chapter in Journey history. So as soon as Neil is feeling better and schedule permits, we'll get him on this show to talk about all this stuff.
Now, let's see. The first official date is the 23rd in Oakland, California, though according to the story that I have right here, he has a warm-up gig in Jackson, California the night before on the 22nd.
And it was gallbladder with him?
Yes, gallbladder.
Gallbladder surgery now, I had a friend that had that. It's like almost outpatient. They go in microscopically or I mean, it's like, I remember back in the day, you used to have your gallbladder out. It's like cut you open. It was a big deal. A friend of mine, they put two little holes on his side, and it was like, boom, they just took it out. It's crazy.
It was during an ER visit. Look at that.
Yeah, so he wasn't even admitted?
It just said during an ER visit Friday night. He was complaining of pain. Apparently, it was infected and enlarged and had been bothering him for some time. He had it removed, and now he's feeling much better.
Hopefully, we're not that far removed from McCoy pulling out the little device and hovering it above you and fixing you.
Oh, like in Star Trek in Episode 4, The Voyage Home, when they're at the San Francisco hospital.
I'm thinking the original series. But
no, but I mean,
yes,
he's astounded. He's flabbergasted at what medical technology was like in the 20th century.
Right. Exactly.
Kidney dialysis, the goddamn Middle Ages.
If you think about the original, and now we're really going down the geek rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But if you think about the original Star Trek, there's really not a lot in that has not actually come to fruition, with the exception of transporters and the medical care of McCoy just waving the thing. Those are pretty much the only two things that we pretty much don't have. We got tricorders; they're called cell phones. Right, we got the communication, the flip device, but we don't even have to flip them anymore. No. So, What else, Ed?
Right. And poor Lindsey Buckingham cannot catch a goddamn break. His wife, Kristen, revealed that the former Fleetwood Mac member underwent recent emergency open heart surgery. This is serious. And while it went well, it did result in damage to his vocal cords. She said late last week in a statement, he is now recuperating at home, and each day he is stronger than the last, adding about his vocal cords, while it is unclear if the damage is permanent, we are hopeful it is not.
Man, it's like an ER unit today, man. I mean, Ozzy, getting in the hospital for the flu. Lindsey Buckingham, Neil Sean with the gallbladder. Lindsey Buckingham, maybe the most serious of all of these.
Yes.
And sending him nothing but our best. But yeah, the impact that this could have on his voice is certainly something of a consideration.